Hey there, high performance golfers, serious golfers, and highly committed golfers out there. I have a big question for you. This question, and depending how you answer it, will determine whether you will hit massive levels of success in your golf game and be able to elevate and accelerate your path to the biggest dreams that you have. And that question is a very simple one. Do you tend to figure everything out in your head, or are you the high performer that gets everything down on paper, that drafts everything, journals everything, gets all of your thoughts out of your head? Because what I know from high performance is high performers, we love to do things in our head. We like to dream big, have massive dreams, and think of all the possibilities that we can achieve and then go after it. And our mind is always racing in those possibilities. And although that's great, what happens is we get confused, even though we have some certainty around, like, I know what I have to work on. I know I got to do this. I know I got to practice. I know I got to play. I know I got to go, see a coach, see my teacher, whatever that may be. And we kind of live in this world like, yeah, I kind of know. And if you're in that space, then, and you're trying to get this place of, I know what to do, and it's all from your head, I can guarantee 100% something is being lost in our head that we are missing. And so, if you're not doing it already, you want to make sure that you get all of your thoughts down on paper, because then once you can read it, and as you're reading it, it's a different perspective than thinking about it. Our mind processes so many things all at once, and as we get our thoughts down, like, we tend to write things down differently. When we read them out loud, they sound differently, right? And we start to adjust and really see the things that we want to achieve, and we start to create and map out the path and how to get there. And we start to create a way where it becomes simple, easy, and achievable. In our head, we're looking at the possibilities of, yes, I can do that. I'm really close. I'm a hard worker, right? I'm committed. I'm devoted. I'm practicing all the time. I have a great team. And we're looking at these attributes saying that, like, if I continue to do that, I'm going to get there. Whereas opposed to when we get things on paper, we can easily see the things that's required to do, not the things that we think we're supposed to do. We look at the requirements to get there, and then we go ahead and take our commitment, take our energy, and put them into those requirements. And so what I'd like to share with you is kind of what I do. This is, and I'll take you inside the ropes for a little bit in one of my coaching sessions with one of my students that, just was a day ago. And he's a 9-year-old. And so as a 9-year-old, he has dreams of playing, and he's a committed golfer himself, plays basketball as well. And he still likes the fun part of it. But they had a very different conversation with, dad, who wants him to learn about scoring. Very new to golf. Played golf for a while, but very new to playing golf. So the scoring aspect would be brand new for him. And the one thing that dad wants him to understand is, how do you just make sure he knows how to score, play the game, so he has something to be shooting for. And from his end, he's looking for something that is more fun, that keeps his excitement, that makes him want to do it again. And for him, score isn't always the thing that's going to motivate you, right? For some of us who's playing competitive rounds of golf, that is absolutely a big motivator, because score puts us in different categories of types of events that we can enter, types of colleges, makes us feel differently. We look at ourselves differently as an identity depending on the score. So I want to take you inside a little bit and show you what I do, and how to simplify it. And again, like, this is how you get massive, massive results. I'm showing you what I did with a 9-year-old, but this is the same process I do with a college player. This is the same process I do with a high school player that is shooting under par, right? Or in the mid 70s trying to get to low 70s, or breaking par. Like, exact same process. It's getting everything out onto paper and then drafting up and really seeing the possibilities. So I'm going to take you in here and I'm going to show you on my iPad where I kind of drafted this. So give me a moment here as I open this. And so I'm going to face it this way. So this is, I know, kind of narrate this way, but this is kind of what it looks like, right? And so we spent about 25, 30 minutes of our time just drafting out a plan. So, as we see this, like it doesn't look like much, but as we look, and I'll kind of show you, we first identified, if you can see there, on the side, you'll see a score and you'll see like candy next to it. And so I know he wants it to be fun, and I know there's stuff that he loves, right? And so first off, what we start to create is we create something to get him motivated to want to achieve the thing that I want, that mom and dad wants him to do. All right, so it's having him understand score, and for him how to score and how to become competitive against score is him understanding the concept of par. Being able to shoot 36 even par for 9 holes, and understanding how that process works and what is the fastest way to do that. And so we break it down into different yardage gaps, and he creates his incentive, and it's questions like what would it mean for you if you could achieve this, right? If you could shoot 36 from this yardage, what would that mean to you? What would you feel like if you were putting this on? What would you feel like you deserve and could earn for yourself? And he started to think, and gets him excited about tying in an interest to him to the goal of what mom and dad might want to do. And I'm the person that's architecting this all together to make it seem possible, right? I'm not going to show him and make him do anything that he does not want to do, right? And so we're going through this process of co-creating the entire architecture. I'm not here to say you do it only this way, because then that's only me who's bought in. And so as you start to think of like, how do you do it yourself, right? Think about the things of why it's so important for you to achieve these things, but then you chunk it down, right? The end goal, if we come back and look at this, is we start to explain over here that we start at 25 yards and we want to shoot even par. And when we get that, we go to 50 yards to 100, 150, 200, and then finally the tee boxes at the bottom there. And so as we start to look at that, we start to build a roadmap of different levels that he's going to start to create for himself. And without overwhelming him, I'm looking at his skill capability and see where can we start to define now where it's not so overwhelming, and then we get into the details, right? If you wanted to shoot 25, which is going to earn him, a pack of Skittles, what is the required skill for him? And again, this is how the coaching process works. It's having him understand to see it's simple, and we put the requirements for you to get 25 or 36 from 25 yards away here is, one, you need to be able to chip it on the green in one shot, and then be able to 3-putt or less. Super, super simple, right? And then we moved on to 2. So let's say you pass and you earn your Skittles. Now what? How would you get 50? If you could keep 1 and 2 and move that to the next bucket, how would you get to pass 36? And immediately off the bat, for this 9-year, he goes and says, well, if I needed to hit it on from 25 and 3-putt, then, let me just hit it on from 50 yards and then 3-putt as well. So we write that down. We look at, the requirement is now to be able to hit it on the green, pitch it on from 50 yards, and we keep the same putting skills. And then we did it one more layer down for the details and said for 100 yards, a little further. And I kind of framed it in a way so he didn't say the same thing, right? It's really asking, okay, based on where you're at and what you feel that, you're doing right now, would it be easier for you to learn how to hit it on the green in one shot from 100 yards and do the same thing? Or based on your putting, would it be easier for you to learn how to 2-putt from a certain distance versus just three putting all the time. And then so he came up much easier based on where I'm at and how comfortable I'm at. I'd rather two putt. I can definitely two putt from more spots. So then we created this plan, right, to pass the first three divisions here to then two putt or less, right? And so now we're starting to stack everything down there. And so it's breaking it down into these bite-sized but simple little steps that he can clearly see that he's also creating himself. So there's a part of like when you start to create your own plan and really put some work into it. You know, we spent about 25 minutes or so on this with him for him to really understand and see it and internalize this concept so he can start to look at it, you know, over and over again to understand it. But having this detailed map for him, entering the course, and we spent a couple hours on the course playing from these yardages, and in the couple hours we got about 4 9-hole rounds in where we were understanding and playing. And to take you through and why it's so important, because as a coach I can tell him, go ahead and do this, go ahead and do that, and it's from my perspective. But for you as a player, if you don't clearly see what is required and where the gap is from where you are, from where you want to be, then you're going to have a really, really difficult time to get there. And you're going to have a really, really difficult time to motivate yourself and inspire yourself to keep on going. So if you've ever been in a place where you feel unmotivated, uninspired to want to practice more because you've been struggling, that's because it hasn't been clear enough for you to see the next step, because it feels so far away that you're doing everything and that next step does not seem likely it's going to happen. And so by seeing how close the next step is, gives you that motivation, gives you that certainty that you can do it, right? And so we go out there and, you know, the first 9 holes that we play from 25 yards, he scores a 44, right? 8 over par 44. And immediately after, we spent about 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 minutes looking at his scorecard, right? And I kept it very simple for him. How many hits on the green and how many putts, right? It's something that aligned perfectly with what he already understood. 1 hit on and 3 putts or less. So he could clearly see I shot 44, and in the beginning he's like, man, I don't know how close that was, but the moment he saw, wow, every hole I hit it on 1 hit, and the only difference was I was getting 5 putts and 6 putts on the hole. Right, so now automatically I didn't have to tell him it was his putting, although I knew it was his putting. He discovered it for himself. Man, my putting. I told myself the requirement was 3 putts or less. And then it got him, right? Then as a player, then you become open to now what the correction is going to be, which in his case, the correction was speed. If you just got the ball to slow down and stop nearer to the hole and make it easier than the putt before, you do a ton better. Now he's open to understanding how to go from 5 and 6 putts to 3 putts. The very next round that we started immediately after that, right? So this is all in the same session. He's excited, and now he's like, I want to do it again. I want to try again, and I know I can do it, right? Motivation and inspiration. And he goes out there, and then we play 9 more holes, same distance on different holes. And it's radical improvement, and he shoots. What did he shoot? He shot a 2 under par, 3 under par, sorry, that one. He shot a 4 under par, 32, right? 44 to 32 in minutes, right? So it's because he saw how clear it was. And now he's even more excited and motivated. And when we went back and reviewed for about 3 to 5 minutes of what his second round scorecard looked like, amazing. He was so happy, so excited. You know, we took a video and a selfie that he could share with mom and dad that we sent over because of how excited he was. But he noticed that he's like, yes, look, I made some 1 putts that went in. I got a few 2 putts, and the rest were 3 putts. And when we looked, there was 1 putt, 1 hole that was 4 putts. And so he got there, and he made radical results, which led into our next round that graduated him to 50 yards. So we doubled the distance, And already going at 50, he's like, I can do this. And he is inspired and motivated again. And he goes in and plays his first round at 50 yards. And again, this is all in the same session, right? Plays his first round at 50 yards and scores 4 over par 40. Right, so he scored better on his first round at the new yardage that he did as the first time at the shorter yardage, which was absolutely incredible. Shot 4 over 40. And we did the same process. Spent 3 to 5 minutes reviewing the card, and he looked, yes, I see it, the putting again. And, you know, he pointed out that he was so excited that, like, he was just trying to make everything because he had a couple putts in the previous round that went in one putt, right? And so he's like, I totally forgot that I got to get the putt to slow down and make it easier than the next putt. And we went directly into the next round, right? And so we played the next round of 9 holes at 50 yards. And then again, the exact same thing happened. Motivated, inspired, focused, right? A lot of times we're saying we just got to be more focused. And it's not about telling ourselves to be more focused. It's about being so clear on what needs to happen and what's required that focusing is just a byproduct of that, right? So, you know, if you're somebody that's telling yourself, like, all I need to do is focus more. If you're a parent that's telling your children, go focus, you're distracted, you know, go focus more and you'll do better. And when you focus, you do well, right? Focus is a byproduct of how clear you are on the requirements that's necessary and how much it means to you to achieve that thing. All right, so we can't force the focus in. And so the same thing happened when we played the 4th round at 50 yards. All right, went from 4 over to 2 under, 34. And so he, from being motivated, inspired, right, 2 under. And when we went back and reviewed the 2 under, exact same thing happens. Like, man, I can see that my putting, I was really focusing on making my putts get easier as I got on there. And it wasn't because he was told to focus, it was because he remembered and he internalized that I just got to make my putt easier, right? And so when we start to look at it, and for yourselves, when you start to look at your golf game, think about, could you achieve something that clear if it's all jumbled up in your head? And my answer to you is most likely it's not. What we spent for a 9-year-old, for, you know, one of the few times he's been out on the golf course to keep score, probably one of the few times he's ever kept score, basically one of his first times ever keeping score in a situation like this, to like make massive gains. And it was 100% because of getting thoughts out on paper, seeing what moves him, connecting the dots and making it so simple that he knows he can achieve it and what that next step is, and it keeps him going, right? And so as you look at your golf game, as you look at what you're doing, get the thoughts out of your head, simplify the job that you're trying to do, figure out what the very next step is to keep you inspired, motivated. When you're done with your round, be so clear of the plan that you know exactly what you're looking at to deconstruct what happens, so you go in with a plan. Too many times we have this feeling, I felt like I didn't hit it good, right? I got these bad breaks, right? And all of these stories, but we're just guessing. And we're not strategic about what really happened. And so by getting our thoughts down and spending that time, right? Like we spent 25 to 30 minutes designing this thing for him and to get thoughts out, right? And it's for a 9-year-old. And so if you're an advanced player and you want really big things, right? You want to win championships. Like, you got to be spending some time every single day mapping things out, getting your thoughts out on paper and seeing, is this what I really want? All right, so stop trying to do it in your head. Journal it down, write it down. Like, if you see, like we have, like in my office here, like we have charts everywhere to get thoughts down. They're always coming on paper, version 1, version 2, and that gets us to see it all the time. If you want big things, you got to be seeing it all the time, and it's got to be so simple that you believe it's achievable. All right, guys. I hope this helps you all. Go ahead and do that one little shift, and you will see your golf game transform right before you, just like my little man did it a couple days ago. All right, you guys take care.